Okay, looks like we are officially live once again and back with another live stream, of course. As you have already seen in the title of this live stream, this is going to be a bit different compared to all the usual UFC and football live streams that I generally do. I generally cover all the UFC football content, but yeah, this is going to be a bit different. And the only reason I'm going to be talking about YouTube boxing today is because after the recent Floyd Mayweather fight against Floyd Mayweather, of course, fought Deji a few days ago. After that event, I just felt like that there was this necessity that I should cover this topic for once because at that event was like really well done, well organized, or whatever you want to call it. But the one of the primary reasons for me covering this topic is because of that event, and that event actually had like so many big names all under one roof. You had, of course, starting with the man who will be mentioned a lot in this live stream, Andrew Tate. For the first time, I'll be covering something related to Andrew Tate, so I'm quite excited to see and talk about him. And other than that, of course, like I was saying, that event, Floyd Mayweather versus Deji, of course, had Andrew Tate in the building. They had Jake Paul in the building. They had, no, I almost said Logan Paul. KSI was in the building as well. And yeah, Tommy Fury was there, of course. Darren Woodley was there. Floyd Mayweather himself was there. Deji, of course, if you want to count him. YouTube boxer, of course. So yeah, lots of um, you know, big personalities rather who have been involved with boxing, YouTube boxing, just boxing in general, let's just say. And of course, Andrew Tate is there as well. So yeah, the lot of big names from the same genre were under the same roof at the Floyd Mayweather versus Deji show, which was in Dubai, of course. So yeah, that's like probably one of the primary reasons why I just thought that this is a good topic to cover. So yeah, let's just do that. Before continuing, of course, I'll just quickly check, add a little description to this, as I always do. All right. Looks like I've successfully added the description for this live stream. And yeah, let's get down to it. Let's get down with the topic that we have in hand. Let's get down to the conversation. Let's talk about YouTube boxing. All right. Now, starting off, of course, the internet literally broke a few days ago when Jake Paul did a face off with Andrew Tate, which was very, very shocking. Like, Jake Paul is literally the last person I would expect Andrew Tate to face because, there is a because, not because like Andrew Tate was scared or anything like that. Nothing of that manner or nothing of that sort. But yeah, I just can't fix this damn mic. Let's try and hold on, give me a second. Fuck is wrong with this mic? Is it okay now? Damn it. Fuck. Come on, man. We got off to such a good start in this live stream, and now this is the fucking issue today. Fuck. Just give me a second, everyone. Yep. You know what? I think. Damn it! Should I just take off this mic? Okay, I'll do that. No, man. It's probably a big time with it. Oh my god, this is so frustrating. Hold on, I'll fix this. There we go. There we go. That's a lot better, I think. Even though that's not exactly what I wanted, but I think that should do it. I'll just quickly check the audio once. Man, come on. Is this better? I hope it is. I hope this is working, right? This should work. Let's check the audio for once. I think this is working. Yeah, yeah, this is working. This is working. All right, damn it. That was a struggle. Nevertheless, let's get on with this topic. As I was saying, all of this started, this Andrew Tate getting involved with the YouTube boxing community started with a Jake Paul face off that literally broke the internet a few days ago. I mean, that clip of just the two of them, like, there was like literally what, a 10-second clip of the two men coming face to face, and that clip took the internet by storm. I think it did. It was literally everywhere. Like minutes after Jake Paul posted it, Jake Paul tweeted it out. It was literally on every other combat sports page, every other sports page in general. Like, yeah, people are genuinely excited to see Andrew Tate fight in 2023. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, but if it does, it's a dub. It's a dub if you get to see Cobra Tate step into the boxing ring for a potential fight in 2023. Now, the reason why I just said I did not expect Andrew Tate to fight someone like Jake Paul is because for months we saw KSI and Logan Paul calling out Andrew Tate. Logan Paul has still been like calling out Andrew Tate, just to be clear. KSI has like toned down a bit. He hasn't been calling Tate lately, and we'll get to that in a minute. But the reason I say this is because Jake Paul was literally the last person I expected to negotiate a potential fight with Andrew Tate. He was literally the last person I thought Tate was gonna fight. Or like I should say vice versa. Like Jake Paul was literally the last person I expected to approach a fight like to Andrew Tate. I did not expect Jake to, you know, call out someone like Tate. Like he didn't exactly call out, but yeah, I think the negotiations are probably going on behind the scenes. Who knows? But yeah, like given Jake's track record so far, like the fighters, the boxers that he has fought throughout his career, it's kind of surprising to be honest. Nonetheless, though, like he knows where most of the money is. Like, and yeah, in all honesty, Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate is gonna draw millions. It's going to literally break the internet. Trust me. Andrew Tate fighting in 2023 is going to break the internet. If you thought 2022 Andrew Tate broke the internet, just wait for what happens in 2023. Just wait for it. If he fights, of course, that being said. But yeah, um, Jake Paul, Andrew Tate, I'm quite pumped up for it. I'm not the, of course, like, come on, man. Does anyone really expect that I'm going to be the biggest Jake Paul fan? I'm pretty sure not the most of our, not the most of us are actually the biggest Jake Paul fans. But yeah, I'm pumped up to see. And credits to Jake for actually trying to pull this off. Credits to Jake because let's be honest, I just want to see. Andrew Tate fight. It's just as simple as that. It's not because of Jake Paul. It's not because of anything other than, yeah, simply than the fact that I want to see Andrew Tate fight. That's it. That's the only reason. This man literally took the internet by storm this year. He is still in the trends. He's still going viral every other day. And could you expect what would happen if Tate steps into the boxing ring next year? Like, come on, man. That would be insane. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for Andrew Tate getting back into the fighting scene. Even though like he hasn't like fought in a long time, I'm ready for it. Andrew is just 35 though. Like he's not that old. I thought he was like 37, but yeah, he's not in his late 30s. He's in his, literally in his mid 30s right now. So for Logan Paul, this is one of the other things. Logan Paul recently said in his podcast, should I just should I just nah before we continue, should I just do this? Does it look better? Nah, never mind. I think I'll just take over and Tommy Fury's face. Anyway, as I was saying, like Logan Paul literally said in his recent podcast, Impulsive Podcast, if you would go and watch that episode, he literally said that Andrew Tate is in his late 30s right now, and he is probably. Let me just think of what he said. Like over the top of my head, I could just think of a brief quote. Like he literally said that Tate is in his late 30s and he'll probably be scared to lose. The reason I don't think that's an accurate assessment is because Tate, first of all, is not in his late 30s, he's in his mid 30s, literally 35. That like, literally makes him in his mid 30s. Come on. And I don't think Andrew Tate is scared of losing. Come on, man. Come on. Really? You really think Andrew Tate would care if he lost? Like, of course, there is a factor of Tate losing and his like some of the people sort of saying, okay, Andrew just got exposed, he cannot fight. But come on, man. The money he's probably gonna make off a fight against Jake Paul, that's enough for him. That's enough for him. That fight is gonna keep him in the conversation for a long, long time. So I just don't think Andrew Tate would care that much. And if he loses to Jake Paul, and speaking of losing, getting down to the fight now, who do I think wins between Andrew Tate and Jake Paul? Now, here's the thing. I haven't really seen much of Andrew Tate's fights. Let's be honest. I mean, probably it's safe to say the majority of us haven't, because when Tate was actually a kickboxer, like barely a few people, I shouldn't say few people, like the people who actually follow him now, the hardcore fans of Andrew Tate, the top G's, probably did not follow his career that much when he was actually a world champion in kickboxing. So that probably makes a lot of sense. Like even I haven't followed Andrew Tate's career that much. I just saw a few highlights after he went viral. I'm just literally like every one of you are. As I was saying, like, all right, so Tate, he hasn't fought since 2016. That's the last time he fought. He had two fights in 2016, I believe, or is it? Oh no, 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 my bad. Tate hasn't fought since 2020. His last fight was literally 2 years ago. Let me just check if he's on Sherdog or Tapology. Let me just check the Andrew Tate record. Tate hasn't fought since 2020, so that would be a big issue, of course. Andrew Tate's kickboxing record. Let's see. Hmm. Okay, I can't find anything here, but yeah, as it looks like Andrew Tate's last fight was in 2020, right? 2020. So Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be an issue if he fights in 2023 because we have seen fighters, especially UFC fighters, coming back from longer, or rather like 2 year gaps, 3 year gaps, and returning to the octagon. Like Brock Lesnar did it. He came back after a very long time, put on a good fight against Mark Hunt um, in the UFC. And so did some of the other fighters. Like I just can't think of anyone right now other than Brock Lesnar. But yeah, like we're just used to seeing fighters. All right, getting back to it, we've seen fighters, sort of um, take gaps for like years, 2 years, 3 years, and then come back. UFC fighters that I'm talking about, and then come back and take fights. Like it's happened literally with some of the boxers who, celebrity boxers rather, or like boxers who have fought in celebrity matches. Like you get my point. So Andrew Tate being inactive for like since 2020 and possibly coming back in 2023, I don't think that's going to be an issue for him because honestly, the only issue that might occur if Andrew Tate returns is the fact that I'm just curious to know what would happen if Tate somehow actually loses a fight to Jake Paul. What would happen then? Like I'm not expecting his stock to go down by any means. I don't think his stock is going to go down, but how will the general public, or how will his some of his general fans react? People who um, are not really familiar with Andrew Tate's fighting background. Let's just put it that way. Like I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out there who probably know that Andrew Tate was a fighter, but who don't really care that much about his fighting credentials, about his fighting background. Like they probably just care about what he says. So yeah, I'm pretty sure most of his fan base is like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Come on. Not everyone, I don't expect everyone to go out there and watch kickboxing matches of Andrew Tate just to get familiar with the guy. Anyway, what I was saying is, yeah, the only issue I think, or rather, I'm curious to find out what would happen is if Andrew Tate loses to Jake Paul, how would the general public react? How would, how will the picture of Andrew Tate be in their vision? That's all I want to know. That's the only issue. And for Logan Paul to go out there and claim that Andrew Tate he literally, I think, has said that Andrew Tate doesn't have the money to what do you say? What do you say? Come on, let me just think. As far as I can remember, Logan Paul said Andrew Tate, he believes that Andrew Tate doesn't have the money. He's probably gonna go broke. Something along those lines. I just don't think that's true. Come on, man. The guy literally owns a Bugatti. The guy's literally on every other podcast. Not every other, I should say, but yeah, like you find a new Andrew Tate podcast every 2 days now on YouTube. He's getting so much coverage, and his stock is not gonna go down. Like if he keeps up with this, what he's doing, like it's quite controversial to be fair. So, like this, the way he's gotten the fame, he's gotten like the popularity this year. You could say it is controversial in one manner, but honestly, I just don't think his stock is going down. And especially if he fights Jake Paul next year, I think Andrew Tate, yeah, he's just gonna go more viral. That's it. Simple as that. I think Tate is going to become more popular than ever if he fights Jake Paul. Win, lose, draw, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. It does not matter. So I just don't think for Logan Paul to say that Andrew Tate is probably scared about not fighting. He's probably scared that what his fans will think if he loses. I just don't think that's true. Nah. Nope. Not happening. Anyway, what I was saying is, yeah, where was I? Right. Yeah. Speaking to of the, let's just stick to the Andrew Tate fight for a minute. Andrew Tate Jake Paul fight, of course. Andrew Tate hasn't fought in 3 years, of course. That's the one of the talking points in this fight. Jake Paul has been more active lately, and on top of that, Jake Paul. Let's be honest. He has fought and he has what is it? It's just fought. He has fought more notable competition. Notable competitions. That's all I'm gonna say because I'm not that familiar with Andrew Tate's opponents, the people he has fought in the past. And but yeah, Jake Paul has been more active lately, and he's fought the likes of Anderson Silva, Ben Askren, he's fought Tyron Woodley twice, of course. So yeah, he's keeping himself busy, and I think, I think he has a slight advantage going into a fight against Andrew Tate. I think so because Jake Paul is a lot more familiar with the sport of boxing now. I just straight up think that's true because Andrew Tate has not like solely focused on the sport of boxing. He was a kickboxer. Of course, that involves a lot of boxing as well, but it's not solely keep his mind to one sport, which Jake Paul is currently doing. So that is a plus point for Jake Paul. And on top of that, in these last 2 years, Jake Paul has been a lot more active. His rise has slowly been, I wouldn't call it impressive in terms of his fights, but impressive in terms of his marketing and his business minded strategies. I think that's how Jake Paul's rise has been. You could like that's the only way you could call Jake Paul's rise impressive. As simple as that. Mm, Jake, of course, fought Anderson Silva, beat him. That was, of course, a good learning experience for him. And if people and the narrative of like people saying that Jake Paul's fights are fixed, those narratives are going to go out the window. Those narratives will go out the window once Jake Paul fights Andrew Tate and he possibly wins that fight. If he wins that fight, people are not gonna keep that narrative. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty convinced because people like to say that Jake Paul's fights are so and so fixed, rigged, whatever you wanna call them. But do you really think he would actually be able to pay someone like Andrew Tate to rig a fight? No, that is not happening. That won't happen. So if Jake Paul wins against Andrew Tate, people can for once shut their fucking mouths and admit that Jake Paul actually knows how to box. He does. He does. It's just as simple as that because it is not that easy to rig fights these days. Now I know that some of these fights were promoted by Jake Paul's own promotion, I believe. Not I'm not quite sure of that, but if it is, of course there you can like keep that debate. Yeah, Jake Paul's fights have been rigged, blah blah blah. But nah, I just don't think, especially in the sport of boxing, that is like when you have so many big organizations, big promotions, like promoters involved in one under one sport, and when you have so many big influencers who are coming over from YouTube, people like Andrew Tate, people like let's just say KSI, Deji, Floyd, of course, is still in the mix as well. Like when you have these many major names, I just don't think you can like rig a fight that easily in boxing. I just don't think that's possible. So for people to like constantly say that Jake Paul's fights have been rigged, nah, man, get over it. Get over it. People will honestly. I think that narrative is gonna stop if he beats Andrew Tate because I don't think people are actually gonna accuse Tate of taking a payday from Jake Paul to lose a fight. That's not happening. The top G doesn't do that. So yeah. Um. Nonetheless, going back to the Andrew Tate like picture for a minute, like if Tate loses, it's not a lose-lose situation for him. It's rather of more of a win-win situation because that way he can actually stay more viral, stay more consistent. He'll be more popular than ever. He's gonna break the internet because he has been breaking the internet rather in 2022, and he's gonna do the same once again in 2023 because a lot of people who actually follow Andrew Tate have not followed his fighting career, and they will actually get to watch him fight for the first time. Could you imagine the numbers that pay per view is going to do? Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate, if that happens. Could you do imagine the numbers? So Andrew Tate is going to be more famous than ever. It's going to be more viral than ever. He's going to be a lot more talked about in 2023, especially if he fights one of these influencers. And Tate has made it clear himself. Tate has made it clear himself. He said in one of the podcasts, he's not going to sell for 50 million. He's not just not going to sell for 75 million. It has to be 100 to 200 million dollar offer, and it has to be on neutral ground. The fight has to take place in Dubai, which I think is literally the perfect location for Andrew Tate fight. Literally has to be. So there you have it. Like I think Andrew Tate, if we get to watch Cobra Tate, personally, I really want to see Andrew Tate fight. I really want to do. This guy has been everywhere on social media. Initially, my thoughts against him, my mindset against him, where I was wrong. Of course, I still don't agree with a few things that he says, but that is not what I'm here to talk about, of course. But yeah, let's just say this. Let me just put it this way. I still don't agree with a lot of things Andrew Tate says, but the guy actually makes sense. He makes sense. But if you find someone like, if you're in my position, who actually thinks, all right, who actually starts off by thinking like, all right, I don't like Andrew Tate. I don't think he makes a lot of sense because you watched a lot of clips out of context, which I did initially. So yeah, that was my initial thought. But now when I watch, or rather listen to an Andrew Tate podcast, this guy gets me hooked onto it. He gets me hooked onto that podcast. I could listen to his stories. I could listen to him talk literally like for 2 hours straight without getting bored. That's how interesting this character is. This guy is. That's literally how interesting Andrew Tate is when he just does an interview or anything like that. So for me, for like, I personally feel that if you have changed your mindset like me, I did with Andrew Tate, I think he makes a lot of sense, honestly. But of course, there are a few topics that he shouldn't, I think, talk about in general, because I think I just personally don't agree with a lot of those topics. I'm not getting into details right now, maybe later someday, but not right now. But yeah, what I was trying to say is like, if you agree with, rather, if you have the same vision as me and you see someone who is not agreeing with Andrew Tate, trust me, you cannot change their mindsets by simply saying that, oh, Andrew Tate um did this, he said this was out of context, this was taken out of this context, you probably misunderstood him. You cannot defend Andrew Tate when you have someone opposing standing of you talking whack about him, saying that, all right, Andrew Tate is just a misogynist. Nah, you just cannot defend him. I'm pretty sure, because I've experienced this in real life. So yeah, I'm just saying this from my experience. But yeah, those are topics for some other day. This is a fight conversation, rather. This is a more of the YouTube boxing conversation. And it's just like I said, I really want to see Cobra Tate fight in 2023. Let's just peep onto his kickboxing record for a minute. Andrew Tate. His last fight was in 2020. Yeah, he had 3 fights in 2020, which was he was on the back of a loss in his 2016 fight against Ibrahim El Bustati. I hope I got that name right. And Fusion Life 44 took place in the Netherlands. Andrew Tate lost in the first round, TKO round one. So yeah, this guy knows, he has a lot of defeats on his record. So Andrew Tate, I mean, come on, man. If does Logan Paul really believe a guy with the guy who has lost, how many fights is that? Wait, hold on a minute. All right, kickboxing record: one, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8. A guy who has lost 8 fights in the world of kickboxing, in the sport of kickboxing. Does Logan Paul really think that he would care if he loses one more to Jake Paul? Nah, no, I don't think so. Andrew Tate is not gonna care if he loses to Jake Paul. It's gonna be mutual respect between them, and they'll go their separate ways with a pocket full of cash. That's what's gonna happen. So Jake Paul. So I think Logan Paul is actually kind of wrong when he says that, yeah, Andrew Tate doesn't have the money, he doesn't have this, he's scared of losing. No, he's not scared of losing, bro. Trust me. If there's anyone who's scared of losing, probably should be you. I don't think that makes sense, because Logan Paul has already lost twice. Twice, right? No, once rather. Once. But yeah, he's still a 0 wins, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Andrew Tate is a lot more credible. Of course he is. What am I even saying? Anyway, um, what else? What else? What else? Of course, a lot of other fighters I want to talk about, but I just don't want to move on from this Andrew Tate Jake Paul conversation. I just don't want to. I literally want to talk about Andrew Tate and his fighting, because honestly, a lot of this is what I think, coming from my perspective, from a fight fan's perspective. I find Andrew Tate the fighter a lot more fascinating than Andrew Tate the influencer slash masculine persona, if that's the right term. I cannot find a better term than this right now. Slash masculine persona on the internet. I find Andrew Tate's fighting like Andrew Tate the fighter like intrigues me a lot more. I want to know more about Andrew Tate the fighter. What's that's why I want to see him fight so bad. That's one of the reasons why I want to see him fight so bad in 2023. Because I've never seen him fight. This was literally what happened when Brock Lesnar was in the WWE. He came back to WWE 2012. That's literally like 3 years after I got into WWE. Like I probably got into WWE like 2009, early 2010, and I started watching the UFC in 2015. So 2015, right? When did Conor McGregor fight Jose Aldo? Conor McGregor, rather, Chad Mendes, rather. That was my first UFC fight that I watched. Yeah, 2015. So I got into the UFC in 2015, and this is literally like the Brock Lesnar situation. Brock Lesnar was portrayed as such a like alpha male persona on WWE TV. Like his UFC career was brought up. Everyone kept on mentioning on commentary that Brock Lesnar is a former UFC heavyweight champion. He won the title in his like fourth fight, third fight, whatever that was. So all I wanted was just one Brock Lesnar fight. I just want to watch one Brock Lesnar fight live. That's it. That's all I asked for, and it happened. It happened at UFC 200, and the same goes with Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz got suspended in 2015, right after I think I got into the sport. Because my first event that I watched, UFC, of course, was UFC 189, which was in July. I think Nick Diaz got suspended right prior to that, and all I could think about, like when Nate Diaz was starting to get into that, was starting to get that platform that he deserved, get in the spotlight when he beat Connor. All I could think of, wow. I just went on online, went on YouTube. I just found out clips of the Nick Diaz brawls, the Nate Diaz brawl, the Diaz brothers, randomly starting fights against people, and all I could literally think about, I just want to watch one Nick Diaz fight live on television. That's all I wanted to do. That's all I wanted. I was craving so bad to watch Nick Diaz fight just once live. Just once live. I saw his fight against Anderson Silva when he did the shenanigans, when he just laid on the ground, did all that crap, did all that jazz, and that was like, that got me intrigued. That is one of the reasons I want to watch Nick Diaz fight. And it happened. It so fucking happened. Nick Diaz came back in 2021. He fought Robbie Lawler of all people. He might have lost, but that's what I wanted. I just wanted to see Nick Diaz fight once. Maybe not the prime Nick Diaz, but that's all I wanted. Because let's be honest, we're not gonna get prime Andrew Tate when he returns, if he returns in 2023. But that's all I care about. I just want to see Andrew Tate fight once. That's all I care about. That's literally all I care about. Ugh. Because because the fight fan in me wants to see the fighter Andrew Tate first and then the internet persona, whatever. Like, I shouldn't be calling him internet persona. I should rather call him internet celebrity. Yeah. So that's the only reason why I want to see Andrew Tate fight. Only reason, because he's built such an, you know, empire, to be honest. If that's like, he has gotten so viral. And every time I watch an Andrew Tate interview, like I just, like I said, I could listen to him talk all day, like for all 2 hours, 3 hours straight. And like, I've actually gotten hooked to Andrew Tate, listening to Andrew Tate. So I want to see how he does in a fight. I really want to see how he does in a fight. And I think Jake Paul's the perfect opponent. I think Jake Paul's literally the perfect opponent. I mean, of course, that Logan Paul fight could have happened, but uh, I don't know, man. I just don't think Logan's coming back. I just don't think. It's a bold prediction, but yeah, let's move on from the Andrew Tate topic for a minute now. I think we've spoken enough about it. Let's move on to Logan Paul. So the only reason I don't think Logan Paul is coming back is because he's settled in WWE. I think he's sticking with WWE. He is a great wrestler. He's a great professional wrestler. He does his job quite well in the WWE. His last match against Roman Reigns, incredible stuff, incredible. And now he's called out John Cena, of course, for a match next year at WrestleMania. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but if it does, Logan, of course, has a few injuries right now after his last match. He suffered a few injuries, so I'm not sure if it's going to come back on time, Logan Paul, for WrestleMania 39. But if it does, then him versus Cena is going to be a banger. It's going to be a banger of a fight. On top of that, that is one of the reasons why I think Logan Paul is not coming back, excuse me, to the world of boxing. I don't think he, oh damn it, I don't think he has anything to sort of achieve, I should say, in the sport of boxing, because he went out there. He was literally one of the few initial influencers who started the YouTube boxing trend with KSI when they fought twice. I mean, of course, those two fights were always be legendary in my opinion, because not because of how the fights went, because how they were influenced into what we actually see today in the world of YouTube boxing. So I think for Logan Paul to go out there, have those two fights against KSI, who is actually his good friend now. He lost one, he had to draw one, so of course he couldn't get a victory, so that doesn't really matter. But in his third fight, he secured the bag against Floyd Mayweather. And he might have not, claims that he didn't get paid. I'm not sure if that's true, but that's all that he could have asked for. That's literally all that he could have asked for. Logan Paul, I saw how he got the fight against Floyd Mayweather. He made that little vlog on his channel where he entered a Zoom meeting, I believe, just to ask Floyd to fight him. He literally constantly called out Floyd Mayweather 24/7, and he used his um, fame, the internet fame that he had, to get the fight against Floyd, which I think was a very smart move on Logan's behalf. And he did it. He got the fight against Floyd, and that's all he needed. Honestly, I think he's done for like right now. I think Logan Paul is done with boxing. I think he's sticking with WWE. I genuinely don't think he's gonna come back and fight Andrew Tate of all people. I don't think that fight is gonna happen. Of course, he's not gonna fight anyone else, because Jake Paul, of course, one of the big names, his brother, he's not gonna fight his brother unless those two somehow can create a fake scenario where they just want to sell a big fight. So they just do a brother versus brother fight, which I think is actually gonna be quite smart. And other than that, he's not gonna fight KSI. He's already fought him twice. He's a business partner now. Tommy Fury, of course, is one of the fighters who I think will be Jake Paul's next opponent, because I don't. I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I don't think Logan is gonna fight Tommy either. Not gonna fight Deji. He's Austin McBroom is one of the names, of course, who's out there. Who else is out there for Logan Paul potentially fight? I just can't think of anyone right now. Let's see. Has Logan Paul called out anyone lately? I just think that I'm missing a big name. Let's see. I think I just feel like I'm missing a big name regarding Logan Paul. Logan Paul was targeting a December return to boxing. It's not gonna happen, of course. He um got himself injured, Logan, after that match against Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. Next fight for Logan Paul. Is there anyone else in the mix? Austin McBroom is one of the names. Um, I just feel like I'm missing a couple of names. Right, there were a few names, right, from the Misfits card. Misfits ones. Misfits boxing one. Misfits boxing one is one of the uh, I think it's KSI's promotion, I believe. Not sure. There we go. I think this is the one. Yeah, where JJ fought Pineda. Pineda? Is that how you say his name? Yeah, there were a few fighters on that card that I think Logan wanted to fight. Deji fought. Oh, Jesus, I bought. Deji fought Fusi on that card. There was Kenny who won. I think that was a very controversial decision. Misfits Boxing won. Results. Do we have the results for that? Let's see if I can find the results for that. I think it was probably Salt Papi who was called out by Logan. Mm, KSI versus Pineda. Results. Two fights, one I think, of course. I think Logan called out someone from from that card. So let's see if we can find anyone for Logan Paul, which I don't think is the possibility. Let's see. Come on. Yeah. Salt Papi, I believe, was the fighter who was called out by uh, Logan. Not called out, like I think he showed interest in fighting Salt Papi. Anyway, my point is still the same. I just don't think Logan Paul is coming back to boxing anymore. I think he's done with the sport, honestly. Like he might go out there and do an exhibition bout against, I don't know, someone, but yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen. Uh, yeah. Moving on, we have, of course, KSI, who I'm not quite sure what's going on with him, but here's the thing about KSI. Once again, much like Logan Paul, KSI is sort of falling in the like he's taking the same path, much like Logan Paul. He went out there, he called out Andrew Tate. Of course, he did. After the victory over Pineda, he called out Andrew Tate inside the ring. He did not call out Jake in that one because I think Logan was right in his corner. The two fights, one I think he called out Andrew Tate, and then later on he goes on to claim that Andrew Tate outweighs him. He is a bigger in size, or taller in size, or fights in a different division. Something like that. He came up with one of those reasons, one of those, if you want to call it an excuses. And now KSI hasn't called out Andrew Tate since, which I think is a very bad look for him. Look, nothing against KSI. I absolutely love him as a content creator. I think he's a great content creator. I think he's also a great boxer. I think so. But for him to like stir up shit with Andrew Tate and then do this, not a good look. Not a good look. The only option right now for KSI's next big fight, this is a keyword, big fight, has to be Tyron Woodley. It has to be Tyron Woodley because Woodley got into an altercation with KSI during the Floyd Mayweather versus Deji thing. Of course, they came face to face. Woodley was sitting ringside. KSI was, of course, in his brother's corner, and Woodley called him out. There was also a clip of that posted by Woodley on his Instagram. If you could just go in and check that out. So Woodley called out KSI. He said sign the contract, and yeah, I think that's the fight to make. Honestly, that is 100%, 100% the fight to make. Next, Woodley needs a victory. KSI needs a major victory after those two wins. I mean, those two were really warm up fights for him. Let's be honest. So yeah, Woodley needs to stay relevant somehow in the sport of boxing. If he wants to stay relevant, KSI is the way to go. He has to beat him. He has to fight him, and then he has to beat him. Of course, fighting KSI in itself is gonna help Tyron Woodley a lot in terms of his popularity, in terms of his fame, whatever you want to call it. It helped him a lot when he fought Jake Paul. So I think Woodley going out there and fighting KSI is going to help his case a lot as well. I think so. And it's a win-win situation, let's be honest, because KSI needs a victory, a major victory, if he wants to get back in contention of being taken seriously in the world of boxing. Because let's be honest, a lot of people don't take KSI seriously these days in the sport of boxing. It is what it is. It's the truth. It is the truth. Jake Paul has literally moved on from KSI. He doesn't care about him right now. Jake Paul's bigger target is Tommy Fury. Literally Tommy Fury. So I think KSI needs to get a victory over Tyron Woodley, and that will bring him back into the conversation, and then he could move on, and we could see Jake Paul versus KSI maybe next year, maybe 2024. I don't know, but yeah, that fight has to happen. Come on, man. After the bad blood, the beef between those two men, like after all the drama, social media drama, they went back and forth for so long. They have still going back and forth as well. I think KSI versus Jake Paul needs to happen. Even like this past weekend when both of them were in the same arena. KSI posted stories saying that I can't wait for Jake Paul to confront me in real life. Eventually nothing happened. I don't even think they came face to face. Rather Jake Paul was busy with Andrew Tate and Tommy Fury. So there you have it. KSI needs to get back to winning terms. Sorry. What I meant was KSI needs to get back to the conversation by getting a big victory over Darren Woodley. And Darren Woodley needs a victory as well. Darren Woodley has lost twice to Jake Paul, and he needs to stay relevant somehow. So he could secure the bag going forward. Anyway, yeah, that's literally all I can think of about KSI. I think a fight between KSI and Floyd Mayweather is going to be very interesting. They have no beef with each other. Floyd even said that he loves KSI's work, what he's doing right now. She gave him a shout out after beating Deji. But I think Floyd versus KSI is going to be a much more competitive fight compared to, of course, Deji versus Floyd. KSI is a much more better boxer than his brother is. And honestly, I just think, um, what was I saying? Yeah, honestly, I think like KSI versus Floyd would make sense, but I just don't think Floyd's going to take that fight. He's not going to risk fighting KSI. He knows like the dangers of fighting someone like KSI because let's be honest, Floyd these days likes to fight exhibition bouts, and I honestly like this about him because we're getting to see one of the greatest boxers on the planet still active. Obviously, he's not taking the sport that seriously these days, es- especially in his exhibition bouts. He took Logan Paul seriously. Deji, of course, he was not. He was very casual about Deji, and why shouldn't he be? So I actually like this about Floyd Mayweather. Like he's mixing it up with these young influencers, with these content creators, which actually makes for some good, solid events, like it just did this past weekend. Deji versus Floyd Mayweather. It was not the biggest fight on paper, but look at the people who attended it. Look at the people who attended it. Andrew Tate, Darren Woodley, KSI, Tommy Fury, Jake Paul, all under one roof. So there you have it. I think Floyd Mayweather is still Money Mayweather. Floyd is still Money Mayweather. He still draws people. He still gets the attention. He does, and he will continue to get the attention regardless. That's what you get when you go 50 fights unbeaten. That's the reputation you make. Anyway, what else do we have? Yep. Next up has to be Tommy Fury. The Tommy Fury topic. Um, should I just move it this way just so you could see Tommy Fury's face for a minute? Anyway, Tommy Fury, of course, won a really sloppy fight against Rolly Lambert this past weekend. He was on the same card with Floyd and Deji. He was on the undercard of it, and a lot of drama surrounding Tommy. He missed weight, then blamed on his opponent. Something happened with the weight miss. But yeah, nonetheless, Tommy Fury did not look good in his last fight, in his recent fight rather, with Rolly Lambert. And Tommy Fury once again started beef with Jake Paul. Rather, I should say John Fury started beef with Jake Paul. That's what happened. So again. Like when you have a fighter who's pulled out twice of the same fight, honestly, you cannot, cannot be such a loudmouth. John Fury should have actually shut the fuck up that day because this puts Tommy in a very, very critical position. He has to make it to the fight when he fights Jake Paul next. And speaking of that, John Fury told media that in February there is a deal between him and Jake Paul's management team of them actually fighting in February. So, and John Fury, on top of that, said he shook Jake Paul's agent's hand, rather his manager's hand, I believe, whatever. And he said that a handshake is much more, important to him than a contract is, something along those lines. So he also added, of course, that he wants to make sure this fight happens, and that he was sort of trying to put the blame, sort of trying to change the narrative that is Jake Paul's fault. Why the fight between him and Tommy Fury, did not happen the first two times. That was such a ridiculous statement from John Fury, ridiculous to his utter top level, whatever you want to call it. Like, come on, man, what? Seriously, John Fury literally went out there and tried to blame it on Jake Paul uh, for not like for the fight between him and Tommy Fury not happening. How could he do that? Look, I'm not a Jake Paul fan, but no, he shouldn't have blamed Jake for it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Because it now puts Tommy Fury in a very, very critical condition, a very critical situation, rather. Um, he has to make it to the fight when he fights Jake next in February. So I think before Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul happens, I hope to God that Fury versus Jake Paul doesn't change the Jake Paul versus Andrew Tate plans. That fight needs to happen mid 2023 in Dubai. I don't care any time of the year. I don't care. Make that fight happen. But hopefully we get like, yeah, if Jake Paul's gonna fight Tommy Fury, then go ahead. He should. I think that's gonna be a good fight, and I think Jake actually wins it now. I was in favor of Tommy, but after what Tommy did in that last fight against Rolly Lambert, I think it's gonna be Jake's fight. I think Jake takes it, and I actually want Jake Paul to win because that way the fight against Andrew Tate becomes much more realistic. Because can you imagine like a Jake Paul coming back on the back of a loss to a Tommy Fury, and then maybe the chances of a fight between him and Andrew Tate dies down with that. Anyway, like I think February we're gonna see Jake Paul, Tommy Fury happen. If of course Tommy is not reluctant to pull out once again, like hopefully he stays on the card he till the very like when the fight. Hopefully the fight just happens. That's what I'm trying to say. And KSI, Darren Woodley has to happen. Andrew Tate, meanwhile, I think he's gonna get back in shape. Like if he's actually like serious about fighting, he's gonna get back into fighting shape. Is what I meant. He's gonna get back into fighting shape. He's gonna get back into training. Like he's actually gonna train, not like what he does in his own gym, personal gym. No, that's not count. That doesn't count as boxing training. He's actually gonna train with actual proper trainers, proper dietitians. He's gonna work with a lot of professionals. You best believe that. So I think Andrew Tate, in the meantime, like Jake Paul fights Tommy Fury, possibly wins that fight, takes time off to recover, then Andrew Tate is ready by that point, and both of them can fight. So hopefully, 2023, all of this lines up quite perfectly, and we get to see Andrew Tate fight in 2023. That's all I want to see. That's like I've been mentioning it throughout this live stream. That's all I want to see. I want to see Andrew Tate get into that ring and fight. It's just like one of those mythical things, like when you just constantly hear about Brock Lesnar being such a good fighter, but you just don't have the opportunity to watch him in a UFC fight because he's retired and he's long gone from the UFC. But luckily, of course, I got to saw Brock fight at UFC 200 when he fought Mark Hunt. Of course, the result of that fight got overturned later, but doesn't matter. Come on. Hi. Jeez, Louise. Anyway, Should we continue with this live stream? Of course, 5 more minutes are there. Be right back though. Right, I'm back. Pretty much talked about all the topics. Spoke about Andrew Tate a lot. Spoke about KSI a lot. Logan Paul as well. Tommy Fury as well. What else is there though in the world of YouTube boxing? If you just Google boxing news, boxing news. Come on, let's see. Let's see if I can find anything. Boxing. YouTube boxing news. Man, it's crazy how YouTube boxing has like become a genre of its own. It's insane. It's literally insane. Like the sport has taken like this genre has literally taken over the sport big time. The Floyd Mayweather narrative is going to be that Floyd struggled to beat Deji. It took him 6 rounds to beat Deji. Whereas in reality, he was just messing around with Deji. He could have finished the fight in the first round if he wanted. He went out there, did what he had to do. He knew what he was getting paid for. Anyway, I think that's it. I think that's how I'll end this live stream. I mean, good discussion. Even though I was discussing with myself, I mean, I had fun talking about it. This is a topic that I wanted to cover for a really, really long time, and I think I did it nicely, successfully. YouTube boxing, of course, the talking conversation topic of town, rather, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, you get my point. And yeah, with that being said, I think it's time to end this live stream. Mm, if you guys are watching this later, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. I'm trying to grow this channel. Like I've been trying for a really, really long time now, but yeah, it just isn't working. Anyway, like hopefully something pays off eventually. But yeah, I think that's it for this live stream, everyone. It was fun doing it. Like I said, a topic I really wanted to cover for a really, really long time, and I did. Hopefully, we get the fights that I mentioned, Andrew Tate especially. I want to see him fight so bad. I want to see him fight Jake Paul so bad. That fight has to happen. Come on, give us Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul. And yeah, hopefully KSI versus Tyron Woodley will happen because, like I said, it's a fight that both of them need at the moment. KSI needs a big victory. Tyron Woodley needs to get his first victory and get it dominantly. And I think KSI is a good opponent for him. Tommy Fury, I think, is gonna fight Jake Paul next in February if that fight happens. But yeah, like I mentioned, Tommy Fury has like backed himself in a corner now. He cannot be reluctant. He cannot withdraw from a fight against Jake. That has to happen. Anyway, yeah, with that being said, I think it's time to end this live stream. And yeah, if you guys are watching this later, hit that subscribe button and the like button. I'll see you guys in the next video, in the next live stream.